If I had to buy 10 rental properties with just 25 to 50k in my account, here's exactly what I would do. In this video, I'm gonna share with you 6 things I learned and how I implemented it into my own portfolio. And if I were to start it over again, this is exactly how I would grow my portfolio up to 10 properties in just 5 years. And I want you to steal this blueprint from me. Step number 1, if you have a full-time job, full-time business that you're operating, make sure you keep them. It's really important for you to still have that paycheck coming in because guess what? The banks love it. All the lenders from A lender all the way to private lenders, they all still pay attention to your active income. Private lender, maybe they have a little bit of flexibility, but you can negotiate way better rate if you still have a full-time job. According to National Association of Realtors, there's still 70% of rental property owners that will still have a full-time job while they're building their real estate portfolio. So make sure you don't try to become that exception. Just go right with the wave, do what's common, don't reinvent the wheel. Building real estate portfolio for that financial freedom is very exciting, but make sure you have a long-term vision and don't dive into this too soon. Your full-time job is a launch pad, and I really wish that I did the exact same thing. Yes, I'm one of those few people who dive into real estate a little bit too soon, and honestly, I didn't get to leverage any of the credits. And I'll share with you a couple different creative ways that I had to use at the end of this video. Step number 2, start in a very affordable market. If you can go 1 to 2 hours out of your current city, I would start there because at least you can still kind of drive around, visit the properties that's needed, you can put in the sweat equity. If you're already living in a tier 1 city, real estate is already super expensive, then I would definitely look into out-of-state investing. And if you're Canadian, look into the US market. Don't even question about this. I'm a big advocate for starting an affordable market for a few reasons. Number 1, you will guarantee cash flow. Imagine if you're buying something and it doesn't cash flow and you're just hoping that appreciation will eventually catch up. Then you're gambling because you don't know when that's going to happen, and the truth is you end up buying a real estate liability that's bleeding you every single month. The stress level will be much higher, and honestly, you want to get into real estate investing game with a positive cash flow, so it gives you more confidence to continue to scale out that rental portfolio. Another thing to start with an affordable market is that when you're in a city that's a little bit too expensive, one of the 2 things will happen. You either end up settling for a condo, which is really not a good investment strategy, and number 2 is that you end up picking the wrong deal or a bad deal in a wrong location because this is the only way that can fit into your budget. So make sure you go into more affordable market, start it off easy, and also keep in mind whatever you can buy in the tier 1 city, that kind of capital can probably get you 2 or 3 properties in a more affordable market. Step number 3, use one of these 2 strategies to start off with. If you're still in a position where you can leverage FHA or CMHC loan, you gotta leverage that because one is 3.5%, the other one is 5% for Canadian. And this is really critical because you can get into the market with such a low capital requirement and leave the rest of the capital for rehab, renovation, conversions, and all that stuff. And this will allow you to recycle the capital in the near future. And by the way, your first deal, you're not buying anything pretty. You're buying something that you can actually convert from 1 to 2, 3, 4 units. So anything that's going to be more than 1 unit where you can rent it out separately, that is the product type that we want to get in. So house hacking, I firmly believe that this is the best strategy for you to get in there because you get to see your investment, your problems, your conversion, your progress every single day, and you can put in a lot of sweat equity for your first deal. You don't need to do everything perfectly, you don't need to outsource or delegate. You just need to get things started, keep the cost as minimal as possible, create that spread, and then you can recycle that capital later. Now, if you're unable to house hack, just buy something that you can do co-living, student rentals, rent it out as a duplex, triplex, fourplex, and this will still allow you to cash flow very strongly. And by the way, one of the things that my mom used to tell me is that start with student rental because you get to deal with maybe 6 to 8 different students, and basically the first 3 or 4 students will be paying off all of your carrying costs, and you're basically leaving 1 to 2 rooms of profit for yourself. Similarly, with a duplex, triplex, 1 to 2 units covers everything. The last unit is your pure profit in an affordable market. So math is very simple. Just get things started, and you're going to figure out a lot more creative ways later as you're scaling the portfolio. And by the way, having different sources of income is also really important because it really diversifies your risk of one of the tenants not paying you rent. Step number 4 is that you still gotta get very good at sourcing the off-market deals. In today's market, you're not really going to find a deal with a huge discount on MLSN anymore. It's extremely tough because with platform being this transparent, you're dealing with a lot of investors looking at the market every single day. If you're new, you're most likely not going to catch the right deal for your very first one. So go offline, and this is exactly how I started. I was driving by dollars when I first looking for my student rental properties. I basically found a property with a for sale sign at the front of the property, and I literally just called. So this was my true experience. And that property back then, I got it for 272k, when the market value was around 320k. And this is a property that I very soon I recognized that it was such a good deal. We made the money on the buy, And you also need to be doing the same thing in today's market. Now you might be asking, what happens if I don't have time to do a driving $4? When I was 19, I didn't have a lot of things to do, so I knew that was my advantage. But for you, you can find some highly motivated sellers to work with. And these people, typically they're in pre-foreclosure type of situation. So there are multiple different websites like PropStream where you can go in there, select tax delinquency, mortgage delinquency, and these will allow you to be able to pull the data so that you can skip trace, find out their contact information, and you can start reaching out to them and see if they have any interest in selling you their properties. Another way for you to find the off-market deals can also be from a website called InvestorLift. You get to see a lot of listings that's being acquired or under contract by wholesalers, which they're going to make a bit of profit from it because generally speaking, that property will still be way under market value. So basically pay a bit of fees to a wholesaler, but you still end up getting a really good deal where you can make a lot of margin of this rental property. And just to give you a bit of reference point, typically we're seeing anywhere between 25 to 50% of ARV for these properties when you're going off market. So imagine if you're buying something around like 300K, you can literally get it down around 150 to 200K and do a bit of rehab, putting some sweat equity, and that property will 100% cash flow and will allow you to recycle that capital once the project is fully done. And this is exactly how we've been helping our members look at all of this to acquire their very first property in an affordable market. If you're looking for some help, use the link below to book a call with us. Happy to see how we can support you throughout this whole process. Now, going to step number 5. Once you figure out your market and you bought your very first property off market, this is where you started doing a bit of improvement. You gotta do some value add to really create that spread for yourself. There's a one simple rule that I always use. Every dollar that you're putting into the property, it has to generate $2 sales. So before you do any renovation, you gotta kind of figure out what the plan is, what the final product will look like. So ideally, I want to make sure that every dollar I'm putting in, I'm converting into more units, more rooms, so that I can bring it out to more tenants. And I always want to make sure that we're designing a layout in a way that tenants will want to stay, because stability is still really important. So as soon as you get the layout figured out, where you can get the most out of your dollar is painting, flooring, a bit of a remodeling for the kitchen and bathroom. These are usually very visual and will really improve the quality of your home. And I always like to add a bit of pop lights, because the moment that it's brighter, people typically like it a lot more. And the goal here, by the way, is not to over renovate. It's really important not to over renovate. Put your personal preference aside. Okay, it's not that important. This is not your dream home, you're building a rental portfolio. And after this stage is done, you're entering to step number 6, which is find ways to recycle your capital. And this part is very simple. You just need to place a tenant and make sure that you can start showing the revenue from this property. And this is where you can go back to your lender and try to get the property reappraised. Because right now it's a new product, it's producing cash flow. Lender now will start looking at the building a little bit differently. And typically at this moment, you're going to have a much higher spread where the lender will say, okay, we can give you another 75% of loan to value, and you can look at that to pay off your previous mortgage. And this is where you can recycle your capital and you can utilize that capital for the next rental properties. And the timeline for you to start building that 10 properties, typically the first year you're only getting 1. And in year 2, you're going to get better and acquire 2 properties. And year 3, 4, 5, you just need to get 2 properties every single year in an affordable market with the same system, same spread. And this is how you can keep scaling your portfolio. And the fun part really is when you start changing your strategy into multifamily space, because multifamily or commercial will literally become such a booster or acceleration for building this rental portfolio for yourself. And what's really fun about this whole process is that when you started building that rental portfolio, at some point, there's gonna be moments where you started looking to multifamily buildings. You understand the rules between 1 to 4 units, but the moment you get into commercial multifamily buildings, this is the time where your business will literally start exploding, because the way that they calculate their numbers is very different. And it's so much more predictable with such a bigger spread. So this is exactly how you're going to feel. It feels very slow in the very beginning, and then it gets to that learning curve and you explode it. And that's why I really enjoy real estate game, because straight up it's very addicting and you will want to continue buying more and more assets after one. There's no way that you're stopping after buying 1 rental property. And the last bonus point for people who don't have their full-time job, start raising a bit of capital. You can raise capital from private lender, you can raise capital from joint venture. This is exactly how I started. I actually raised 550K back in 2015 when I decided to quit my full-time job. And honestly, that was crazy. I didn't even know there was an option to go with a private lender. I just learned how to pitch, how to raise capital. I just raised 550K to start it off with 2 projects, which led to another flip, which led to another 6plex. And looking back, it would be way easier if I could just kind of follow the step that I mentioned to you. And I probably would have built more if I kept the full-time job. So if you want to learn more about how to source off-market deals in today's market, I have a full breakdown for you. Give this video a watch. I'll see you on the other side.